When you think of Africa, the same places always come to mind. Egypt with its pyramids, Morocco with its colorful markets, South Africa with its safaris and wine. But there is a country there, in the far north of the continent, that almost never appears on these itineraries: Algeria. And not only did it deserve to be included, but it should be at the absolute top of the list. We're talking about the largest country in Africa, a place where the endless Sahara blends in. The ruins of the Roman Empire buried by sand, ghost towns swallowed by dunes, and traditions so ancient and unusual they'll leave you speechless. A country where gasoline literally costs less than water, where there are still military units that ride camels in the desert, where an entire city is built above a deep canyon, where tea is not just a drink but a ritual in 3 cups. That represents life, love, and death. Today we're taking you on a journey through the dunes, mountains, ghost towns, and vibrant markets of this forgotten giant of Africa. If you want to discover one of the wildest and most fascinating countries on the planet, hit like and subscribe. This journey will change the way you see Africa. Let's get started right away. 15. Gasoline costs less than water. Literally. Let's start with Algeria's most absurd economic madness. Here, gasoline costs about 30 euro cents per liter. A bottle of water at the supermarket? 50 cents a bottle. You heard that right. It's literally cheaper to fill up your car than to buy drinking water. Why this total absurdity? Algeria is one of the world's largest exporters of oil and natural gas. It has enormous reserves, the 10th largest natural gas reserve on the planet. The government heavily subsidizes gasoline to keep the population happy and prevent violent uprisings. It's a silent social contract. We don't give you real freedom, we don't give you democracy, but we give you almost free gasoline. The result is completely disastrous. Algerians have no incentive to save fuel. They leave their engines running for hours for no reason. They use really old cars that burn absurd amounts of fuel. Thousands of people buy gasoline for 30 cents in Algeria and smuggle it into Tunisia, Morocco, Mali, and Libya, where it's worth 5 to 10 times more. It's a billion-dollar criminal industry. Algeria spends billions every year on unsustainable subsidies. What will happen when the oil runs out? Or if prices crash for good, the entire economy will collapse like a house of cards. But nobody wants to face the problem. Every time the government has tried to cut subsidies, violent riots have broken out in the streets. It's an economic time bomb that keeps ticking relentlessly. 14. The empty giant. 90% of the country is desert. Uninhabitable. Algeria is gigantic, over 2 million square kilometers, the largest country in the entire African continent. But here's the absurd truth. About 90% of this territory is completely uninhabitable. The Algerian Sahara is one of the driest, hottest, and deadliest deserts on the planet. Temperatures that exceed 50 degrees Celsius in the summer, sandstorms that bury everything. Endless distances, with no water, no life, nothing at all. Almost the entire population, 45 million people, is crammed into the northern coastal strip. It's about 1,200 kilometers long, but only 50 to 100 kilometers wide. Algiers, the capital, has over 3 million inhabitants packed into one of the densest cities on the Mediterranean. But there's worse. Even the habitable areas are often inaccessible to tourists. The Algerian government requires extremely complicated visas. Many regions are military zones and off-limits. Taking photos of government buildings, military installations, or even bridges can lead to immediate arrest. The result? Algeria receives fewer tourists in a year than Morocco does in a week. It's an invisible giant that the world has decided to completely forget. 13. Timgad, the Pompeii of the desert, where you walk around completely alone. In the midst of the silence of the Sahara, there are Roman cities that look like impossible mirages. Timgad is one of these forgotten wonders. Founded by Emperor Trajan in 100 AD, it's an incredibly well-preserved Roman city right in the middle of the desert. Streets as straight as blades, columns still miraculously standing. Magnificent remains of baths, libraries, and colorful mosaics on the floor. Everything is still there, as if time had completely forgotten to destroy it. It's been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1982. One of the best preserved Roman cities in the entire world, comparable to Pompeii in terms of importance. But how many tourists does it get each year? Just a few thousand. Compare that to Pompeii. Over 4 million visitors every year. The result? You can walk completely alone in a genuine 2,000-year-old Roman city without meeting another human being for hours. You can touch the ancient columns, sit in the Roman theater, walk along the streets where legionaries once marched. It's an absolutely unique archaeological experience, impossible to find anywhere else in today's overcrowded world. 12. Constantine, the impossible city suspended over the void. Constantine is one of the oldest cities in the world to have been continuously inhabited for millennia, but it's not the age that takes your breath away. It was literally built atop a dizzyingly deep canyon, with spectacularly high bridges boldly connecting both sides of the deadly chasm. Literally a city suspended in the air above the void, connected by 8 monumental bridges that span a canyon over 200 meters deep. The most famous bridge is the Sidi Msid, built in 1912, which, at 168 meters high, was for decades the tallest suspension bridge in the entire world. Walking on these dizzying bridges, looking down into the rocky abyss while the strong wind pushes you dangerously, seeing the houses literally clinging to the vertical walls of the canyon. It's an experience that truly makes your heart race. It's one of those places that seem completely impossible when you see them in photos, but are dramatically and terrifyingly real. 11. The Meharist, the strangest army in the world that rides camels. While the rest of the world proudly rode horses, here in the relentless Sahara a completely unique military force was born, one that preferred dromedary camels. During the brutal French colonial period, the army created the Meharist Saharan Company, a special unit specifically trained to cross the vast desert expanses on single-humped dromedary camels. These special soldiers, the Meharists, were rigorously trained to survive the deadly extreme heat, to sleep peacefully under the desert stars, and to navigate using only the celestial constellations. They were practically silent ghosts of the Sahara, as agile as the wind, as quiet as snakes, prepared for any deadly eventuality. The military uniform strangely combined traditional Tuareg turbans with modern French military badges and insignia, creating an absolutely unique visual image. But here comes the most surprising part of all. This bizarre military tradition did not end at all with Algerian independence in 1962. Even today, right at this moment, Algeria actively maintains military units mounted on dromedaries, mainly in the remote border regions with Mali and Niger. There, thank you. Where no modern military jeep can withstand the fine sand that destroys engines, where satellite GPS often fails completely. The dromedary camel remains absolutely unmatched and reliable. 10. The Tuareg, the blue men with completely opposite rules. The Tuareg are one of the most fascinating and mysterious peoples on the planet. Berber nomads who have inhabited the Sahara for millennia, long before the arrival of the Arabs. They are universally called the Blue Men, because adult men wear traditional turbans dyed with natural indigo, which over time literally stains their skin a deep blue, but they also have absolutely unique cultural traits that set them apart from any other society. First bizarre peculiarity: men completely cover their faces with a veil called tegelmist, leaving only their eyes exposed. Women, on the other hand, do not wear any veil on their faces. It's exactly the complete opposite of most Islamic cultures in the world. Second peculiarity: Tuareg society is completely matrilineal. Inheritance, property, and social status are passed down through the maternal line, not the paternal one. Tuareg women have enormous autonomy and absolute decision-making power. They own the traditional tents, make independent decisions about divorce, and completely manage the family's wealth. Third peculiarity: the Tuareg have their own ancient alphabet, Tifinagh, one of the oldest African writing systems, which is still actively used today. For centuries, the Tuareg were legendary warriors feared throughout the Sahara. They fiercely controlled all the trans-Saharan trade routes, raided merchant caravans, and completely dominated the desert. Today, they are facing an existential crisis. Colonialism brutally divided their territory among Algeria, Mali, Niger, and Libya. Now they are discriminated minorities everywhere, the last true romantic nights of an ancient world that is rapidly disappearing. 9. The tea ritual. 3 cups for life, love, and death. In Algeria, tea is not simply a hot drink to quench your thirst. It is a true sacred ritual full of deep meanings, ancestral symbolism, and unwritten social codes. And refusing to drink tea when it's offered to you in an Algerian home is considered a very serious insult, almost unforgivable. The ritual calls for exactly 3 consecutive cups, each with a profoundly different symbolic meaning. First cup: strong, bitter, almost sour on the palate. It burns your mouth. It symbolically represents real life as it is, full of tough challenges, constant uncertainties, insurmountable obstacles. It's a harsh reminder that nothing in life is ever truly easy. Second cup: already noticeably sweeter, smoother, more enveloping on the palate. It goes down pleasantly. It represents true love, deep family bonds, the pure joys that sweeten and make the difficult journey of life bearable. Third cup, the lightest and most delicate of all, almost transparent, ethereal, represents death not as a terrifying tragic end, but as a natural acceptance of the life cycle, a well-deserved rest after the long, tiring journey of life. Drinking all 3 ritual cups in sequence. Thank you. It's much more than just superficial social labels. It is a profound act of mutual respect, of spiritual communion between host and guest, of complete trust in the other. In the most traditional homes, it is almost always the elderly men of the family who ceremoniously prepare the tea. It is considered almost a sacred art that only they master perfectly. 8. The Sahara. Thank you, Algerian, where the land literally becomes Mars. The Algerian Sahara isn't just endless sand. It's an incredible collection of alien landscapes so extreme, so surreal, that NASA actively uses them to simulate future missions to Mars. The Tassili Najer is a sandstone plateau with over 15,000 prehistoric cave paintings dating back to 8,000 to 6,000 years before Christ. These paintings depict elegant giraffes, mighty elephants, fat hippos, and fierce crocodiles. This scientifically proves that the Sahara was once completely green, fertile, and full of life. The Erg is an endless sea of orange dunes. Some reach 300 meters in height, as tall as 100-story skyscrapers. The Agar are black volcanic mountains that rise from the desert like the sharp teeth of a monster. Mount Tahat reaches 2,918 meters. The sunset from Asakrum is considered one of the most beautiful natural spectacles in the world. The fiery red sun sinking behind black pinnacles while the sky explodes in orange, purple, and pink. But the Sahara is also deadly dangerous. Temperatures over 50 degrees Celsius during the day, below 0 degrees Celsius at night, sandstorms that last for days, distances that are terribly deceiving. Yener 7th, the Berber New Year, is older than the Roman Empire. If I told you that in Algeria they still celebrate a new year that began long before the Roman Empire existed, would you believe me? It's absolutely true. Yener is the traditional Berber New Year. Six Algerian weddings. 7 full days of non-stop celebration. When it comes to weddings, Algeria does not mess around. A typical traditional Algerian wedding ceremony can last anywhere from 3 up to 7 full days of completely uninterrupted festivities, 7 whole days of continuous celebration. It's not just the celebration of the union of two people. It's basically a massive collective festival that involves all the extended families, all the friends, all the neighbors, and sometimes literally the entire neighborhood or village. Among the Kabyle and Tuareg communities, one of the most visually stunning wedding rituals is the night of the henna. The bride, lovingly surrounded by all the women in the family who sing ancient melodies, has her hands and feet artistically decorated with henna in elaborate designs full of deep symbolic meanings, future fertility, divine protection, economic prosperity. Meanwhile, energetic traditional dances erupt, ancestral songs dating back centuries are sung, and endless feasts are held with literal mountains of traditional food. 5. Couscous. It's not just a dish, it's practically a religion. With so much layered history, so much mixing of different peoples, did you really think Algerian cuisine would be simple and ordinary? The most famous, iconic, and defining dish is definitely traditional couscous. Handmade with fine durum wheat semolina, it can be served in literally 1,000 completely different variations, with tender lamb, steamed vegetables, hearty chickpeas, sweet raisins, and toasted almonds. There's sweet couscous for joyful celebrations, and savory couscous for everyday meals. Festive couscous for special occasions, morning couscous for funerals. Every single social event has its own specific version. And listen closely to this fascinating detail. In many traditional Algerian homes, couscous is still made entirely by hand by the women of the house. They gather together around large, ancient terracotta bowls, kneading the moistened semolina in a kind of hypnotic culinary dance, passed down orally from generation to generation. 4. Timimauns, the red city that seems to have sprung from the sand. Timimauns is a city that truly seems to have magically emerged from the very sands of the desert. Located in the heart of the arid Sahara, all the houses are the same ochre red as the surrounding desert soil. They are built from compressed mud and earth, as if they were sculpted directly from the golden dunes. And the most extraordinary and miraculous thing is that this city in the middle of nowhere has survived for centuries thanks to an ancient irrigation system called Foghera, ingenious underground channels. These channels bring water from deep underground aquifers, built as far back as the Middle Ages by forgotten engineers. In the heart of the desert, arid and deadly, they learned how to grow life-giving shade, lush green palm groves, and thriving oases. It is a true ancient engineering marvel that still works perfectly even after 1,000 years. 3. The fennec, the national symbol. It's a desert fox with giant ears. The animal symbol of Algeria isn't a majestic lion or a powerful eagle. It's the fennec, a tiny desert fox with enormous, out-of-proportion ears that almost look comical. This little nocturnal animal survives in the harshest parts of the Sahara thanks to its gigantic ears, which act as natural radiators to dissipate the deadly desert heat. It's so beloved that the Algerian national soccer team is nicknamed the Fennecs. Thousands of fans dress up in fennec costumes during international matches. It has become a symbol of resilience, adaptability, and survival against all odds, qualities that Algerians deeply recognize in themselves as a people. 2. The Casbah of Algiers, the labyrinth where getting lost is guaranteed. The Casbah of Algiers is a living maze that challenges any modern sense of direction. An endless tangle of narrow alleys, sudden staircases, covered passages, ancient arches, and tightly packed white houses. There are over 2,500 alleys in the Casbah. Some are so narrow you can touch both walls at the same time, others end abruptly against a wall. During the War of Independence, the Casbah became the center of the resistance. The fighters used this labyrinth to their advantage. They knew every secret passage, every connected rooftop. The French soldiers who entered would get lost immediately. Today, it remains a magical place where time has stood still since the Middle Ages. 1. Because Algeria deserves to be discovered. Now you understand why Algeria should be at the top of your list. It's not an easy country for tourists. You won't find luxurious resorts. It requires complicated visas, has dangerous regions, but it's authentic, it's real, it's a true adventure. Here you can walk alone through Roman cities that are 2,000 years old, witness ancient rituals, lose yourself in the largest desert in the world, and drink tea with nomads under the stars. Algeria doesn't sell itself. It doesn't change for tourists. It remains proud, challenging, authentic, and maybe that's exactly what makes it extraordinary. Which fact surprised you the most? Write in the comments, leave a like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share with anyone who loves authentic cultures. See you at the next incredible destination.